the National Investment Promotion and Facilitation Agency of the Government of India. I welcome you all to the UAE India Food Security Summit 2020. This summit, in a lot of ways, is symbolic of the deep strategic and comprehensive partnership that exists between UAE and India. With this, may I welcome His Excellency Dr. Aman Puri, Consul General of India, Dubai, to deliver his opening remarks, please.
Very good morning to all of you. His Excellency Dr. Ahmed Al-Banna, Ambassador of UAE to India. His Excellency Shri Pawan Kapoor, Ambassador of India to UAE. Shri Rana Gurmeet Singh Sodhi, Honourable Minister of NRI Affairs, Sports and Youth Affairs, Government of Punjab. His Excellency Mr. Juma Mohammad Al-Qaid, Assistant Under-Secretary for the Trade Sector, Ministry of Economy, UAE. Mr. Karikala Walawen, Special Chief Secretary to Government, Industries and Commerce, Investments and Infrastructure, Government of Andhra Pradesh. Mr. Naveen Chaudhary, Principal Secretary, Agriculture, Government of Jammu and Kashmir. Major General Sharafuddin Sharaf, Chairman, UAE India Business Council, and Vice Chairman of the Sharaf Group. Dr. M. Angamuthu, Chairman, APIDA. Shri Deepak Bagla, MD and CEO, Invest India. Distinguished guests and delegates. It is my singular honor to welcome all of you at the UAE India Food Security Summit 2020. This two-day summit reflects the importance attributed by both governments to the food security, which has gained a whole new significance due to the unprecedented crisis which the world is facing. The COVID-19 pandemic has highlighted the importance of food security, also for the reliable food supply chains, international partnership, and the benefit of deeper integration of economies. India and the UAE are strategic partners, and ensuring food security is one of the priorities for both governments. As UAE has launched the National Food Security Strategy 2051, India can be a reliable partner in its journey. The UAE government emphasis on agro-tech, which creates huge opportunities for leveraging India's strength in the field of agri-tech startups to create solutions not only for the UAE, but for the world. Current level of food exports from India to UAE are likely to grow significantly with the Joint Food Corridor project, and we see the proposed investment from UAE into India in this sector becoming a catalyst for achieving the required integration of both economies. India also exports significant value of food products to this geography and draws on the strength of UAE as a logistics hub to reach out to other markets in the MENA region. It is our assessment that there is huge untapped potential for taking this partnership to the next level. We look forward to hearing from the key stakeholders who will deliberate over the next 2 days on exploring ways and means to take this collaboration to the next level. My personal sense is that India-UAE relationship in the food sector is at an inflection point, and we must leverage our complementarities to achieve the common goal of strengthening food security, creating sustainable models of food production, bringing efficiencies in logistics to minimize turnaround times, to reduce wastages, and create new paradigms which will help address global challenges in this sector. India-UAE partnership can truly become a building block which can create spillover benefits for several economies in the region and beyond. I would like to thank Confederation of Indian Industry, Invest India, and the UAE India Business Council for supporting this event. And most importantly, I would like to thank all delegates who truly are the drivers of the UAE-India partnership. Wishing you a very productive and fruitful exchange over the next 2 days. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your very insightful words. Now, may I invite His Excellency Ambassador Pawan Kapoor, Ambassador of India to UAE, to make his opening remarks, please.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you. Shri Rana Gurmeet Singh Sodhi, Honourable Minister of NRI Affairs, Youth and Sports of the Government of Punjab. His Excellency Ambassador Al-Banna, Ambassador of UAE to India. His Excellency Jamal, Assistant Under Secretary for International Trade Affairs, Ministry of Economy of the UAE. Mr. Karikal Valaben, Special Chief Secretary, Industries, Investment and Infrastructure, Government of Andhra Pradesh. Mr. Naveen Chaudhary, Principal Secretary, Agriculture, Government of Jammu and Kashmir. Major General Sharfuddin Sharaf, Chairman of UIBC and Vice Chairman Sharaf Group. Dr. Angamatho, Chairman APIDA. Mr. Deepak Bagla, Managing Director and CEO of Invest India. My dear colleague, Consul General of India in Dubai, Dr. Aman Puri. Distinguished participants and dear friends. Namaste to all of you and Salam Alaikum. I'm very pleased to participate in this inaugural session of the India-UAE Food Security Summit, focusing on areas of potential bilateral cooperation in the food sector. Just to give you an idea of the importance we attach to this sector, I should mention that just in the last 4 months, this is the third event focusing on agriculture and food products from India that has been organized either by the embassy here in Abu Dhabi or our consulate in Dubai. The first two events were also held in coordination with APIDA, and I'm glad that Dr. Angamathu, Chairman of APIDA, is also present here today. Of course, the subject of this summit is broader and meant to highlight the crucial aspect of food security, which has clearly been brought to the fore during the recent COVID-19 pandemic. UAE, like many other GCC countries, imports almost 85% of its food products, but UAE is also a comprehensive strategic partner of India. This implies that we share close relations in all key aspects, ranging from energy to defense to trade and investment. It is in this context, given the importance of food for UAE, that India wants to work closely with UAE to be a reliable partner of it in its quest for food security. Since the time the pandemic broke, India has been consistently supplying UAE with food products through an uninterrupted bilateral air cargo route. The UAE government also set up a Food Security Council at the highest level to ensure availability of food supplies to all its residents. In fact, at its meeting last month chaired by the Food and Water Security Minister, Her Excellency Miriam Al-Mehri, the Emirates Food Security Council reiterated the importance of strengthening UAE's ecosystem to ensure their ability to meet all their food requirements now, in the future, and in all circumstances. This is the far-sightedness and the futuristic thinking of this country, which I wanted to highlight. In addition, the Abu Dhabi Investment Office is also investing about US $41 million in agri-tech firms to boost initiatives to address global food security challenges. The Abu Dhabi government has declared food security and innovation in agriculture as priorities, and in the last few years, vertical and hydroponic farming ventures have picked up here. So here too lies an opportunity for Indian entrepreneurs, some of whom are already participating in innovative food production within the UAE. And I'm glad that some of those members who are already participating in such ventures in UAE are also participating in this Food Security Summit. Now, as all of you know, food exports are one of the major drivers of growth in India's agriculture sector. India has cultivable land and suitable weather for production of a large number of fruits, vegetables, and grains, well in excess of our own significant requirements. In line with the vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat, or a self-reliant India, spelled out by Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, India aims to double its farm exports from the present $30 billion to $60 billion by 2022. With this in mind, the Government of India has recently amended the Essential Commodities Act, by which we have removed cereals, pulses, oilseeds, edible oils from the list of essential commodities to permit their export more easily. During the difficult time of the pandemic, India not only sustained the world food supply chain by continuing to export its food products, but, as mentioned previously, we also played an important role in sustaining UAE's supply of food products. Our overall exports of agri-commodities during March 2020 to June 2020 were at $3.42 billion, as against an export of $2.8 billion during the same period in 2019, recording a sharp increase of 23%. This is during what you might call the first 3 months of the pandemic. And importantly, UAE food importers continue to get their supplies of vegetables, fruit, and other food commodities from India through cargo and chartered flights, which continued unabated even when there was a lockdown in India. Even though India's market share in UAE's food imports is presently only around 11%, the fact that we are cooperating to establish an India-UAE food corridor would change this considerably. This will entail UAE investments into India's mega food parks, contract farming, farming logistics, warehouses, creating hubs for fruit and vegetables, and sourcing of agro products from India. The Al Dhara Group of the Abu Dhabi holding company is now taking the lead in this project, and I would like to specifically point out to participants of this summit to carefully consider how this potentially huge opportunity can be fulfilled by making it a win-win option for both sides. I would like to assure our Emirati friends that not only do we want to continue to be a reliable partner of the UAE in food security, but in fact, we want to work much harder to realize the full potential in this area, which can contribute billions of dollars to further trade and investment between our two countries, and also result in huge employment opportunities in India. I want to thank UIBC, Invest India, and CII for supporting this summit, and the state governments of Punjab, Andhra Pradesh, and the Union Territory for their active participation. I look forward to a very productive 2 days of exchanges between the experts on both sides, from the government as well as the private sector. This is a joint initiative, and we must all contribute to its success. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Thank you very much, sir. Very insightful words. I will now request Dr. Ahmed Al-Bana, His Excellency Ambassador of UAE to India, to make his address, please.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to apologize for coming online a little bit late due to some technical issues I had, but finally we sorted that out. First of all, I would like to thank the Indian ambassador and also thank the Indian Consul General for this wonderful platform talking about the UAE-India food security. And this summit, I guess it is one of those important summits that it is close actually to both of our nations' hearts. And there is a lot of attention given by our leadership and specifically in this at this time during the pandemic of the COVID-19. As the world continues to battle COVID-19, India's strong partnership in promoting trade, investment, economic prosperity, and regional stability is more important than ever. On one hand, the countries are devising ways and means in self-reliance and self-sustenance, while on the other hand, the unprecedented times have also made countries realize that power of global strategic and the power is in global and strategic alliances. Recovery from the economic downturn attributed to the COVID-19 pandemic calls for an inclusive and sustainable economic transformation capable of economic growth that conducive of global partnership. India is an important country for us. Our relations are built on common goals, values, and sense of shared history. Our two countries have developed a deeper appreciation for each other as a multicultural and multi-ethnic society, an important member of the global and regional community. In the crucial times of COVID-19, our relationship even comes stronger. Our leaders have exchanged a lot of ideas and a lot of information in reference to the pandemic situation, and there has been a lot of coordination on many different levels in order to combat this pandemic. The two countries enjoy close commercial ties, and which reflects in the bilateral trade values. In terms of bilateral trade, UAE stood as India's third largest trade partner for the 7th consecutive year in 2019-2020. Next only to the United States and China. The bilateral trade between UAE and India reached to about close to $60 billion in 2019-2020. UAE was the second largest export destination for India in 2019-2020. For years, UAE has been the gateway to the world for India and has often been viewed by Indian companies as a major re-export hub, owing to its geographical location, well-developed storage and logistic infrastructure, and ease of doing business. Before coming to today's topic of food security, I wish to reflect on our engagement in few special elements that shows the unique relationship between the United Arab Emirates and India. First foreign institutional investor participated in India's National Infrastructure Investment Fund, NIIF, was Abu Dhabi Investment Authority, ADIA. UAE was the first country to participate in India's Strategic Petroleum Reserve Program. A consortium led by Indian ONGC, including Indian Oil and Bharat Petroleum, has been awarded 10% stake in the Lower Zakum concession, with a participation fee of about 2.2 billion dirham, which is about $599 million. The deal marks the first time that the Emirate of Abu Dhabi has awarded a stake in concession to an Indian group. ADNOC, Saudi Arabia, Aramco signed a framework agreement jointly to develop the Ratangiri Refinery and Petrochemical Limited with a co-investment of almost close to $44 billion. UAE-India Food Corridor project will help establishing logistic and cold storage chain and food processing facilities in the Indian states, as my colleague, Indian ambassador, mentioned regarding the food park project, which has been shifted from one specific organization to Abu Dhabi investment under the umbrella of Al-Dhahra. The food parks in the 3 different states, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Gujarat, with an intention to triple the export of agriculture and food products from India to UAE. The current level is about 2.2 billion, to reach to $6 to $7 billion in the next coming 3 years. As per estimates in India, every year there are 67 million tons, or almost 30% of the agricultural products that sometimes, due to lack of storage, due to transportation issues, goes to waste. So therefore, I believe the cooperation and the setting up of those logistics, food parks, and the chain block that involves this whole process is very important. I think there are directions in order to go and look at different investment opportunities within those sectors. The National Food Security Strategy of UAE aims all citizens and residents to have access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food for an active and healthy life at affordable prices at all times, including emergencies and crises. And I do recall when the first COVID-19 pandemic started, with His Highness words saying that food, medicine is red line. There won't be any sort of shortages of that in the United Arab Emirates, and that's what we actually witnessed. UAE looks at India as a committed partner when it comes to food security. UAE was India's #1 export destination for fresh fruit as well as for fresh vegetables, with export values to about 121 million dollars, and about $103 million. That is $121 million for fruit and about $103 million to vegetable. In the same year, UAE recorded as India's 3rd largest export country for non-basmati rice and 4th largest export destination for basmati rice, with respective trade value of about $131 million and $209 million. UAE was India's #1 export destination for cashew and export value of about $118 million. 2nd largest for dairy products, with a trade value of USD 41 million, and 4th largest for Indian tea and tea, with the export value of about $44 million. UAE also is one of the top exporting nations for Indian meat, cereal, sugar, wheat, processed food items, and all types of pulses, of course. Her Excellency, our Minister of State for Food Security, Mariam Harib Al-Meheri, visited India in March 2019 and held series of interactions with the government and private sector to encourage the food and food security program and to make sure that this whole thing is put on the right track. The COVID-19 pandemic has also severely tested the reliances of all nations and has brought focus on the vulnerabilities of the existing supply chain. There is a global focus on economic resilience and recovery. UAE would like to join efforts of the partner country, specifically India, in development of diversified and resilient supply chain in the post-pandemic era. I congratulate the Indian government for the recently introduced production-linked incentives, PLI scheme, in the 10 key sectors approved by the Indian Union Cabinet, chaired by the Honourable Prime Minister Modi. I am hopeful that this new scheme will further boost our trade relations in all major 10 sectors. Food processing is one of those 10 sectors. And inclusion of agricultural products into food sectors under PLI scheme may add further value in strengthening our food security relationship. Considering our strategic relationship, I strongly believe that this is very opportune time for UAE and India to escalate their food security cooperation and in the specifically untapped potential in this sector. I'm so optimistic about our future together. That is, despite the current pandemic situation, our two nations are poised to emerge stronger together, since at the core of our partnership lies the strength of our people-to-people relationship. Having said that, I would like to actually thank the Consul General and the Consulate General of India in Dubai, and the CII, and Invest India, and the UIBC for putting their efforts together in organizing the India UAE Food Summit. I would like to thank our guests also from India in this or on this platform, specifically our guests from the state of Jammu and Kashmir and from state of Punjab, and of course everybody on this platform. I'd like to thank the panelists and thank all the attendees, and wish you all the best. And I hope this 2 days of the India UAE Food Summit will result in better understanding of our relationship and our future plans for the food security program overall. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for highlighting the deep strategic and comprehensive partnership. Humble request to all speakers, since we are running behind schedule, if they could limit their address to 3 minutes only. With this, I would like to welcome His Excellency Jamal, Assistant Undersecretary for International Trade Affairs at the Ministry of Economy, UAE, to make his remarks, please.
Thank you very much. Honourable Ministers, Excellencies, Ambassadors, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, namaste to all of you. And on behalf of the UAE Ministry of Economy, it is an honor to be part of it, and would like to extend our appreciation to the organizers for putting together such an impressive virtual event. India is and has always been a very important partner for the UAE. Our relations with India go back a long way and are built on a very strong foundations and social, economic, and cultural ties. These strong ties are the result of the political will articulated by both governments and their sustained efforts to work together for the mutual benefit of our people. Our relationship is truly multidimensional. Since the signing of the Comprehensive Strategic Partnership Agreement in 2017, continuous progress has been made in implementing agreements signed in key areas, including defense, security, investment, and infrastructure, energy, and more. And as His Excellency, my ambassador, indicated clearly on the trade figures, actually, I was planning to touch on those figures, but His Excellency covered it in a very detailed manner. I would like to emphasize on India being as a strategic trade partner to the UAE, remained one of the top 3 trading non-oil trading partners, and contributing to around 9% of the UAE's total non-oil trade volume. As far as trade in food is concerned, India tops our list of partners and accounts for around 10% of the total trade. Rice, lamb, and beef are the top 3 imported products, followed by onions, tomato, and grapes. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no doubt that there is tremendous potential cooperation and growth when it's come to trade in food products. The UAE is the largest Arab investor country in India, accounting for 81.2% of total Arab investments. To this end, both countries have been collaborating on numerous projects in this sector. And for instance, let's take the initiative of the India-UAE Food Corridor, which will benefit 2 million farmers and create an additional 200,000 jobs across India. The project is expected to see investment from UAE in developing dedicated logistics infrastructure that connect farms to ports in India, and has the potential to triple India-UAE food trade over the next 5 years. This project has gained even more relevance due to the disruption in global supply chain because of COVID-19. As we speak, 8 food parks are being evaluated in Gujarat, Maharashtra, and Madhya Pradesh for the proposed project. And as a strategic trade hub for India businesses, UAE can unlock this mutual potential as it offers several competitive advantages, such as its knowledge and experience of world-class logistics and transport infrastructure, as well as a geographic location, which will enable India food exporter to expand their reach across the UAE and the GCC region. The UAE could also bring in the required investment for mega food processing parks, huge cold storage facilities, warehousing, logistics, and transport facilities, which can be mutually beneficial for both sides. We already have DP World, which through its the India-UAE Bridge Initiative is exploring synergies in both countries for offering integrated supply chain solutions. Similarly, with the Dubai Multi-Commodities Center, also launched an agricultural trading platform called Agriota to connect farmers in India with food companies in the UAE in an effort to boost food imports from India. Ladies and gentlemen, as you all aware, the UAE stands out as a very attractive market to do business and to invest in by combining business-friendly environment with world-class hard and soft infrastructure, established regulatory system, political and economic stability, and the continuous reforms on legislation. The UAE has emerged as a leading regional commercial hub. And according to the Untitled Investment Report, the UAE saw an FDI increase by 32% between 2018 and 19, reaching $13.8 billion. And as part of our diversification strategy, we have been exploring avenues for investment and trade, and India is in our radar. We firmly believe there are synergy of cooperation between us, and with the attractive investment climate in India, I'm confident that UAE business will be keen to explore new opportunities. Our cooperation with India also falls in line with our National Food Security Strategy 2051, through which we are aimed to make the UAE world's best in the Global Food Security Index by 2051, and among top 10 countries in the upcoming few years. So we also aim to develop a comprehensive national system based on enabling sustainable food production through the use of advanced technologies and international cooperation to diversify food sources. Ladies and gentlemen, the UAE has a great admiration for India and appreciate and respect the resident India community in the UAE for actively contributing to the UAE's progress. Growing India-UAE economic and commercial relations contribute to the stability and the strength of a rapidly diversifying and deepening bilateral relation between the two countries. Looking ahead, UAE-India relations are expected to enter a new phase of growth thanks to the strong commitment and political support from both governments. With cooperation across the sector gaining momentum, the future of India-UAE relationship shines bright and strong. On this note, I wish this summit all the success and look forward to the discussion and presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your very supportive words. Now may I request Shri Rana Gurmeet Singh Sodhi, Honourable Minister for NRI Affairs at the Government of Punjab, to please make his remarks.
Thank you very much. Honorable guests, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, His Excellency Dr. Ahmed Al-Bana, His Excellency Dr. Pawan Kapoor, His Excellency Dr. Aman Puri, the Consul General of India, His Excellency Jamal, and various other dignitaries who are present here. First of all, indeed, I am literally humbled to be here for this very important event which has been organized by the Indian Consulate in collaboration with the CII and UAE government and our Baroda Bank. I think it was the need of the hour that today we are in this event. There is no doubt that the pandemic is there and COVID-19 has really given so many people a new platforms to come up. Maybe I could say it's a blessing in disguise that we gone through this epidemic, COVID-19, which has alarmed and giving alarming situations in various countries. And it has also given the opportunity the people of those countries where the agriculture is the main way of living and their profession, like India. You know, we are 70% agrarian country in whole of the world, where we produce many kinds of crops. We eat rice, in dairy products, fruits, vegetables, floricultures. So all those things are, I think today, the countries who are not producing, and the UAE has always come forward and the pioneer in taking all innovative steps. And I am glad that they have created a mission 2051. And to summarize and not taking much time, I would say the Punjab and India in general and Punjab in particular, there are two places where if we are now shaking hands in various projects, we'll be able to, and the UAE in particular, be able to complete their mission 2050. So keeping in view all these things, I would come to certain points that India has today given an incentive of 100% FDI. And the UAE is, I was reading that they have also made up their mind to invest $5 billion in food security in times to come. I think strategically and the way we are very closely situated. India is the one country which can come forward and come to the rescue of those countries like UAE and the other neighboring countries who are not agrarian countries and who are not producing the food commodities. So it is very essential today that we must shake hands. And Punjab in particular, I would like to tell you that we have in India 37 mega food parks, out of which already 21 are functional in various states. And Punjab has been chosen number 1 to be the part of the mega food parks. We are number 1 in as far as the dairy products are concerned. We are number 2 in rice and wheat productions. Potatoes, we produce about 1.7 million tons. We have so many facilities like R&D and in fruits, kinus, we are the largest kinu growing citrus fruit in Punjab. And we are well equipped as far as the infrastructure is concerned. We have got refrigerations, transportations, and we have got cold storages, which we can work together. And there are certain incentives also which Punjab government and the government of India has already given. For example, there is a tax exemptions on certain food processing units. And we are giving 48,000, about 2,400 dirhams per annum per employee in 5 years. We will give that incentive. And we are giving subsidized power at the rate of 0.24 dirham. So I feel that this is when UAE wants that to complete their mission to 2050, and it is an alarming situation which we all have experienced during 2020 for this COVID-19. And on the same way, it has also given an opportunity those countries like India and in particularly in state of Punjab, that we can pull our socks and bring our GDP and our economy better by producing more and more food products and exporting them. At the moment, we have certain things. We are exporting food products to 140 countries all over the world at this moment. And food processing sector contributes to manufacturing GDP of state as high as 21%, with national average being only 8%. The Punjab is doing is 21%. Food products manufactured in Punjab are exported. As I told you earlier, we have got logistics at our beck and call in Punjab. There is very good road system, road and railways and air connections from Amritsar, and also from Chandigarh, which is called Mohali, and it's international airports. And I would further, when we sign some agreement, I would further request the UAE government to start some more flights from Mohali international airports and Amritsar, so that the communications and the commuters and the transportation of various perishable vegetables could be managed in a proper way. My Honourable Chief Minister, Captain Amrinder Singh, who is now leading the Congress party in Punjab, he is very keen to shake hand with the investors from UAE. I have also requested our NRI brothers who are residing in UAE or other places to come forward and invest in food processing units. So Punjab, UAE, we have also established in our Invest Punjab, which is a single window operational system where we give about so many departments are sitting under one roof. And we have opened a special UAE desk over there, for which Mr. Achal is with me from Invest Punjab. And Idea is that keeping in view that you have a large number of investments which you are ready to make it, and your effort also I appreciate. The DMCC, which has created a agriota to contact farmers directly with one-to-one contact and to enhance the production and the export of agriculture and dairy products. So this is also a very good step, which I appreciate. And I would also request the UAE government to soon come, send your delegation to India and particularly in Punjab, and see the topography and the soils and other things which we are doing at the moment. We have already allocated about 5,000 acres of land which would be only producing organic products. And we can increase it to 10,000 acres or 10,000 hectares. And whatever is your requirement, we would like to fulfill that. And to start off, the Punjab government is offering land on subsidized rates. We are offering land stamp-free, no duty on transfers of land to any units or any company. And initially, we have earmarked about 500 acres of land to start for a food processing and mega food park in Punjab. I would request His Excellency to form a delegation, and His Excellency the Minister, who has just addressed, that he should come. We welcome you and we invite you to visit us and see that what kind of food products, which is known in quality, whatever it is, I mean, whether it's a floriculture or it's fruits or it is cereals or it is dairy products. I think till date, if Punjab can feed 1.38 billion, 60%, as it is known as a food basket for India. So I am sure that we won't let you down in times to come and to complete your mission of 2050. With all these things, I thank everyone, particularly all the team members who are working in the Indian consulate, His Excellency Mr. Pawan Kapoor and Mr. Aman Puri, to organize such a important and such a advanced event, which was need of the hour. And I once again thank you all and request all my NRIs brothers too, that we are at your beck and call. Any tailor-made request for putting up any kind of project could always be considered with the consultation of our cabinet and the Honourable Chief Minister. So I hope that we look forward and shake hands in a way, and mutually it will benefit both the countries and particularly my state of Punjab. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Now may I request Major General Retired Sharafuddin Sharaf, Chairman UIBC and Vice Chairman of the Sharaf Group, to please make his remarks. You wouldn't. I think you are still on mute, sir. Major General Sharafuddin Sharaf, sir. You are still on mute.
Assalamu alaikum. Do you hear me now?
Yes.
Assalamu alaikum. Greetings to all the distinguished delegates, ministers, ambassadors, the Undersecretary of UAE, Ministry of Economy, ladies and gentlemen. I am very delighted to attend this meeting here in UAE, India Food Security Summit. We are meeting digitally today in the midst of the global pandemic, which is forcing the global economy and the global trade to restructure and reconfigure so as to be able to meet the new economic challenges. UAE and India enjoy strong bonds of friendship based on age-old culture, emotional and economic ties between the two nations. Our relations takes back to almost over 4,000 years, and today based on the extensive framework of agreement in various spheres, including economic, cultural, security, defense, etc. And with the vibrant people-to-people contact, we have now elevated this bilateral cooperation across the full spectrum and varied sectors to ensure continuous uninterrupted connectivity with India. The UAE-India ties have entered an exciting era of growth, and both the nations are on the path significantly to reinforce two-way investment in major infrastructure projects through multiple channels and new areas of collaboration such as artificial intelligence, blockchain, mutual security, health, and space. The bilateral relationship have received momentum from time to time with exchange of high-level visits from both sides. It's encouraging to see that 4 high-level visits have been made by the leadership of both countries in the past 3 years alone. We as Sharaf Group have been encouraged by our leaders and by the mutual visits between the leaders of the UAE and India, and have expanded the scope of our investments into India multifold, especially over the last 3 years. UAE India Business Council, UIBC, which is the official joint business chamber of the UAE and India, is set up to create an inclusive bilateral trade and business environment between the UAE and India. Thanks to His Excellency Dr. Al-Banna's efforts to establish that, by connecting businesses from both the countries and supporting a long-term commercial partnership by developing a strategic relationship between the government and the business from both the countries. The Council serves to provide a voice and visibility to various stakeholders in the UAE-India economic corridor and work towards promoting trade and investment, job creation, innovation, inclusion, and entrepreneurship between both the countries. UIB mission is to assist the members' companies to establish their investment and businesses successfully in the host country and to assist the governments of the UAE and India to expand their trade and commerce through establishment of FDI projects. Whether you are an Indian firm with an eye towards the UAE market or the UAE company seeking new market opportunities in India, UIBC is your interface for any questions and support requisite, and we invite you to join the Council and make us the key partner in your global business. Through numerous activities and engagement, UIBC have been regularly engaging with the governments, industry, and other stakeholders on different areas and address challenges and create opportunities for its members, companies in the UAE and India. Presently, UAE is amongst the biggest investor in India in terms of foreign direct investment. UAE investments in India are valued at an estimate of 10 billion in form of foreign direct investment and portfolio investment, making the UAE the 10th biggest investor in India in terms of foreign direct investment. India is a huge nation with a large educated population, with established agro-industrial environment based on research and sciences. Engineering and technologies, India can truly become the best regional partner for the UAE and surrounding areas for food security, industrial security, and at the same time promoting health and education between both the nations. Today, we know that there is a huge gap and opportunity for India to become a major partner in the food security initiative of the UAE. We as investors have already started to put into place our business plan for not only providing logistics services, but actually committing our investment on the ground in India to build multi-model logistics facilities, including rail depots, and operating our own rail and road equipment with cold chain facilities to add substantial value to Indian perishables and agri-products. Food wastage in India is valued at a staggering $12.5 billion, and a strong logistics infrastructure from farm production areas to consumption areas, markets can be a huge enabler in reducing food waste. Indian government is taking major initiatives that aim to boost India's food trade, including a new laws introduced to empower the farmers in India by giving them direct access to the market. and self-reliant initiative packages providing benefits, subsidies, and low-interest loans for the food sector. India and the UAE have thus discovered massive potential and bilateral needs to set up India Food Corridor, a unique bilateral vehicle in which UAE-based companies have already pledged to invest up to 7 billion as part of the two governments' effort to boost ties in agri-sectors. India and the UAE have a similar belief and culture where the foundation of a good society and community is built and the prosperity of its brothers and neighbors. India understands UAE food requirements given the proximity and similarity in food preparation and taste. We firmly believe that India has a huge opportunity for development, and given the current regime of transparency and time-bound responses by the government of India, the gestation period for projects will surely reduce further. At the same time, developments in basic infrastructure will support the network abilities and essentially put into place the basic mechanism to energize the whole of India and in the process bring prosperity to its nation and people. At this time, our group has invested in creating logistics infrastructure in India in rail and land, large IT development center, a pan-India network to handle cargoes and shipments, are in process of investing further in the logistics infrastructure in India. Every nation, whether big or small, evolves over a period of time and reinvents itself, and the way always for the better. We are proud today that we are a part of the growth and development happening around us, and we remain optimistic about further investing into India. Surely we as next door neighbors across the ocean will benefit immensely as well. I would like at the end thank His Excellency the Consul General Dr. Puri for bringing this summit to life. Thank you very much all.
Thank you very much, sir. Humble request to all of the speakers to kindly make their speech brief. With this, I would now request Mr. Naveen Kumar Chaudhary, Principal Secretary, Agriculture, Government of J&K, to please make his remarks.
I will certainly obey your request. Honourable Minister, Punjab, His Excellency Ambassador of UAE to India, our own His Excellency Ambassador of India to UAE, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, since we are running behind the schedule, I had a small presentation to make, but I will skip that, and that will be circulated part of proceeding to all delegates. I will restrict myself to a few remarks specific to the state, now Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, from where I come. Jammu and Kashmir is known for its beauty, its tourism, its hospitality, its handicrafts, handloom, pasmina, etc. for years and years across the world. But Jammu and Kashmir also has been undergoing a transformation, not only in its political or legal arena, but lot of reforms undergoing in economy. While tourism, handicrafts, etc. present 10 to 15% of the income of Jammu and Kashmir, it is the vibrant horticulture, particularly an agriculture sector, which gives sustenance to its economy. As you are aware that we are one of the largest apple producer in the world, producing roughly 22 million tons of apple. Similarly, we produce a huge amount of almond and walnut, next only to California and other places. And climate of particularly Kashmir Valley is very conducive to producing high-end products like cherry, kiwi, pears, etc. We are also focused on a lot of organic production of cereals as well as vegetables. In Jammu, Pura is known for its very special quality of rice, basmati rice, which is known for its aroma. Very recently, we have GI tagged it. What we are doing right now, we are not only focusing on production, which we have been for years. Our target is to double the production in next 3 years of all agriculture and horticultural produce in the state by technological intervention, high yield plantation, and other harvest management. But our key focus now is to manage post-harvest in a manner where we hit not only the market across the country, but markets across the globe. Here we seek partnership from local businesses here in UAE to come forward. I have brought along with me some 20 colleagues from JNK who are representing different businesses, from rice to apple to dairy, all dairy products. And we'll be here for 2-3 days and looking forward to meaningful interaction. And we'll certainly find ways how to collaborate. UAE is a natural partner. We have cultural and political affinity. We are now having a very robust strategic partnership. And food security will certainly remain a key element of that strategic partnership for years to come. And COVID recently has taught us that many supply chains, whether it is food supply chain or any other supply chain, has not only be there, but it has to be reliable. We are now, everybody is looking for reliable supply chains, and India fits well in that when we consider India-UAE relationship. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Now may I request Mr. Deepak Bagla, Managing Director and CEO of Invest India, to please make his remarks.
Thank you, Atisham. Such a pleasure. We've just had the electricity go down, so obviously we don't have any bulbs and light here. But first, let me thank Dr. Ramanpuri. Doctor, thank you very much for organizing this for us, Mr. Consul General, and for getting us all together. And it is a very important subject, as we all know. And I'll speak a little more about it, and I'll tell you what are the statistics as we see it happening on the corridor between our two countries. Excellency Ambassador Kapoor, thank you very much for giving us the relationship breadth and the importance of it, which is happening. And I must thank Ambassador Dr. Ahmed Al-Banana. You called it a unique relationship, and you called it a committed partner in India. And I must tell you, Excellency, both of them are very true. You know, as I see it from the vision of Invest India, this is a relationship which has all three critical aspects to it, which are very strong, and all the three pillars: people to people, government to government, and business to business. And this is what has created the strength of this interaction. And this is what is now going to create the foundation as we move ahead in this relationship and take it forward. We've had all of you discuss, and we've had very distinguished speakers. It's also good to see Minister Shri Sodhi, His Excellency, the Assistant Secretary for the International Trade Affairs for the Ministry of Economy of UAE. And we've had Major General Sharaf. General, good to see you again. The last time you recollect, we shared a platform together was in Chandigarh. And it is again so good to see you, and really for your commitment and your investments in India to further strengthen this corridor. And Shri Chaudhary from Jammu and Kashmir gave us some idea on how that state is now taking off, and we are seeing a large number of investments coming in there with very significant interest. But coming on the numbers of what this corridor is, and as you know, we have a special team, and Atisham, my colleague, is a part of that team within Invest India to handhold each and every investor from the UAE. It's a special, dedicated team. And what this team does is to show the market opportunity, to help you with your business plan, to help you find a location in India, to get you that land, to get you all approvals, to handhold you even after your business has been established, to see and bring to resolution any issues which may arise. And with a number of people here and our participants, you know the team has been working very closely. Let me share with you something in numbers of what has happened so far. The team has handled 274 business requests from UAE. But I'll tell you what's interesting. In the past 5 years, I'm seeing today these 274 requests are across 32 sectors. 5 years ago, that was just about 12 sectors. So what is happening is that the breadth of this relationship is expanding in a significant manner, making it much stronger. And that is where you will see what Ambassador Pawan Kapoor was referring to, was the complementarities which are between these two countries, these two economies, and these two people. The other interesting element, 5 years ago when we started, the number of states where UAE interest was being expressed in India, and you know we have 28 states in India, were about 11 of those. Today, 17 states have seen an interest which is coming from the UAE. And now that we are on the question of food today, and which is one of the most critical subjects to talk with, let me just tell you the top 5 sectors of those 32 sectors. At number 5 is retail and e-commerce. I'm seeing a lot of interest coming in that. And what I'm talking of is UAE investments coming into India. At number 4 is tourism and hospitality. We've seen a lot of activity across the country, even on that sector. Number 3 is construction. This is where I'm seeing a large part of the financial investors and a large number of the other players also getting involved, especially in the UAE in a big way. The number 2 is oil and gas. This has been an all-time favorite, and we see a lot of robustness, and the number of investments are going up significantly, both in numbers as well as amounts. And just to let you know, the number 1 sector, which leads number 2 by more than 200% in number, is food processing. And very understandably so. So when the food corridor got established 2 years ago in 2017, and the other strength which is happening, you're seeing that a large level of interest which is coming from the UAE to partner with India, and especially in that sector. We had Minister Gurmeet mentioned to us, Mr. Sodhi, about the number of food parks in India. Well, let me tell you, within that sector itself, which are the other areas which we are seeing a lot of traction, and I would bring forth to some of our investor partners from the UAE to look at more aggressively. Logistics, warehousing, food processing park, food hubs, absolutely there. We have Major General Sharaf, his company has been investing in that. We've got a number of those other sectors. And logistics and warehousing, especially with the cold chain, those are the new upcoming sectors where we're seeing a lot of interest. Food processing itself, I'm seeing a significant number of UAE investors putting their money to work there and getting involved, and even in the retailing aspect of it. But there are 2 sectors which I would like to leave open today, and which is where I'm seeing a lot of interest and traction from across the globe. And these are sectors which ride on the basis of innovation. Agri-tech is one of those. This is where I'm seeing global players move in very aggressively into India. And I want to see a large number of UAE investors looking at that sector. Let me tell you where India is. You know, our financial year closes on the 31st of March. So 31st of March this year, we close with an FDI of $74 billion. That's the highest ever FDI we've got in our history. What's interesting, 92% of that came in the open route, as we call it, the automatic route, which meant it did not require any specific approvals, meaning that India remains one of the most open economies on the planet. But you know what's more interesting? We went into this lockdown in the second week of March, the most unprecedented lockdown in human history. And even during this lockdown, I've already received over $30 billion of FDI. And a large part of this is going into greenfield investment. So as we've seen the Honourable Prime Minister Modi's vision of making India the most preferred destination, and to work with our partners to create an Atmanirbhar Bharat where the strengths of India are now open to partner with the entire world to create the best, not just for India, but the entire world. So with that, I invite you all to visit us, to be with us. We have a team here to work with you, totally dedicated with you. We have our Consul General, Dr. Puri. We have our Ambassador, His Excellency, Mr. Pavan Kapoor. And then we have our Excellency, Dr. Ahmed Al-Banna, who's been spearheading this entire corridor. And we see a lot going forward happening on this as we move on to the other side of this pandemic. So thank you again for your time. Atisha, I'm sorry, I know I've crossed my time. But you know, so much is happening on this one. I did want to share and all the work which you all are doing. And by the way, before I end, I must tell everyone, thank you for your partnership. Thank you for your support. And if I may just add, late last night, the United Nations has rated Invest India as the #1 investment promotion agency of the world out of 180 countries. So thank you again for your partnership and your support to make this happen. And we look forward to working with you and welcome the new India. Thank you, Hitisham.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. And now may I request Dr. M. Angamatu to please make his remarks, please.
Thank you. Good morning to all. Respected dignitaries. At the outset, let me thank our Indian Embassy, Abu Dhabi, and CJI Dubai for this wonderful arrangement. And let me also thank all the respected participants for this UAE India Food Summit. As you know, and as stated by all our respected dignitaries, UAE is our most reliable and respectable partner as far as Indian export is concerned. And let me also state here, UAE act as a window to Indian agri-export to the entire world. We treat UAE as a most important destination, and we treat it as our extended home only as far as Indian agri-export is concerned. Let me also state here that we would like to give and take this opportunity to extend our support in such a manner that we want to give tailor-made and your specific required or requisition product, which are what you want. We want to give that product tailor-made in our country and with the proper specification and with the proper requirement. And as you know, our strength was already stated by all the respected speakers. I would like to reiterate here, more than our conventional agri basket, we would like to give more product in terms of value addition, in terms of our organic, and in terms of our GI product. As you know, India is a diverse country. We have a close to 130 number of geographical indication product, which are very unique and which are very special to the people of this country. So we would like to have a proper and formal business interaction vis-a-vis all our listed GI product other than Basmati. And we will also like to state that we would like to take some kind of advantage and some kind of technical know from UAE authority in terms of introduction of, artificial intelligence and blockchain technology in our value chain. And in the days to come, we will come to you for this, value chain, how we are going to integrate blockchain technology and artificial intelligence technology. And as I stated, our growth and our farmers, it will be like a mutual benefit, and we will take this opportunity and we take this platform in such a manner that in the days to come, we will excel and we will be a good partner in the progress. And once again, thank you to all the participants and all the guiding, like whoever are institutions, whoever are organizations guiding us. And once again, thanks to Indian Embassy and the Consul General for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Now I'll request His Excellency Dr. Albana to make his closing remarks. Thank you, sir. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Well, we enjoy a unique strategic relationship with India, and it is our constant endeavor to further deepen and diversify the partnership by adopting different innovative approaches, opening up newer areas of mutual cooperation and strengthening the existing partnership. The UAE is fully committed to the encouraging greater partnership and collaboration in addressing global challenges as such as I wholeheartedly agree that now is a critical time for countries to work together to better navigate ourselves through economic recovery and set priorities for the post-COVID global economy. And I think this platform is one of the platforms that will lead us to that goal. I would like to thank the Consulate General of India, the Consul General specifically, and I would like to thank CII, Invest India, UIBC for hosting this important summit and inviting me to speak in the inaugural session. My gratitude also goes to the Honourable Minister from Punjab government and my colleague, His Excellency, the Indian Ambassador to UAE, and all fellow panelists, our Assistant Under Secretary, Minister of Economy, and of course, General Sharafuddin, the Chairman of the UIBC. And I would like to thank all the panelists and all the attendees in this platform, the UAE, India UAE Food Summit. Most of the speeches I heard from all the different participants, the panelists, they all lead to one thing, and that one thing is a greater collaboration and a great relationship, a great bilateral relationship between India and UAE. And as I mentioned, we are committed to strengthen that further and further. I thank all of you and wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Now I'll request His Excellency Mr. Pawan Kapoor, Ambassador of India to UAE, to make his closing remarks.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. We had a little technical glitch here too. As I think Ambassador Albana has already said, but basically I think what we've heard from all the speakers at this inaugural session, ranging from our, guests from India, plus our UAE governmental representatives, it's very clear that the two governments are very committed to contributing further in this sector. We realize the importance of this sector for both countries and the benefits that it can give to both countries. And I think it is now up to our business colleagues on both sides who are present here to try and see how best to utilize this opportunity to make the best to benefit not just themselves, but also the two countries, and continue this strategic partnership which both governments are committed to. So I think I'll just leave it at that and wish everyone to contribute in their best measure in the course of these 2 days to see how best we can, help by taking this relationship forward in this area, in this sector, which is definitely an area of the future. So we would request all of you to contribute to that, and thank you once again for all of you for being here and for participating and to try and make this meeting a success. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. With this, I would like to close the session. We have another session planned in the next 8 minutes. So hope to see you everyone there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.